I started investing in shares and you should too. My SIPP and ISA plan to retire at 55 as a UK property investor. This is how I'll pay off my interest-only mortgage with investing, hopefully, and why UK landlords should invest in stocks and SIPPs.
Landlords can no longer ban pets. Renters can ask to live with a pet, and landlords have to consider the request fairly.
So look, I've complained to the Airbnb, tenant doesn't want to pay, tenant saying I'm faking it. So now I have to wait for Airbnb to intervene. This is a job that my painter is going to have to take the TV off.
From property portfolio, my early retirement strategy, using ISAs and SIPPs to build wealth beyond property.
Well, the safest approach is to treat this like any other formal notice. So in my opinion, I'd send it either by email or by recorded delivery so that you have a clear evidence trail that it's been provided.
And number 3, you've got no protection. So if a tenant has an accident in your property, they go after you and all your personal assets.
We inherited this, so originally we would have taken it on and it would have just had the tiles and bought with that.
So let me ask you something. If the UK property market changed overnight, if interest rates stay high and the new landlord legislation made it harder to refinance.
Number 2, no more fixed term. Everything becomes rolling, tenants can leave, but that means you carry all the risk.
If your tenants know the rule better than you, and let's be honest, most of them will know, they can report you to the council and you could be landing a fine of up to £7,000. And the biggest problem isn't that you forgot.
Would your retirement plan still work? Because for the longest time, mine didn't stack up. So hi everyone, I'm Sabrina from Sophia Property Investments and Ventures. Over the past few years, I've been building a UK property portfolio worth over £450,000 through buy-to-lets, refurbishments and mixed-use conversions here in Nottingham. And recently, I had to ask myself a very uncomfortable question.
If you're a landlord in England, this video might just save you a £7,000 penalty, because on the 1st of May 2026, the Renters' Rights Act officially becomes law, and the government has just released a new information sheet which outlines all of the new tenancy changes, and you need to provide this to your tenants before the 31st of May 2026. Failure to do so and you might face a £7,000 fine.
This house is one that I rented to someone who brought 2 dogs uninvited along to stay with them, and by living in the property daily, they absolutely wrecked it. The property looks like it wasn't even clean from the moment that they got the keys until the moment that they were removed and I got the keys back.
What happens if property alone isn't enough? And more importantly, how do I retire early, preferably at age 55, and pay off my interest-only mortgages at the same time?
Our flat has been trashed. What would you do if you rented out your property and it was given back in this state?
So let me give you an update on this Airbnb damage that happened to one of my properties where the tenant is refusing to pay out. So the property is all fine. Obviously, it's just normal standard cleaning that was needed, but this mark.
That's when I realised I needed to diversify beyond bricks.
Today's job, tenant leaves the property in this condition, and we're going to clear it out and get it ready for decoration.
We're Matt.
And Harriet. And Hunter. We have one weekend to fix this whole place up. The rubbish we can deal with, although it's annoying and it should be left clean, is the broken and missing furniture that annoys me.
So why am I diversifying beyond property? Now, don't get me wrong, property's been amazing for building leverage, rental income and long-term appreciation.
Landlords, you could be fined up to £7,000 if you don't do this by the 31st of May 2026. So there is a new legal requirement coming in under the Renters' Rights Act, and this is one which a lot of landlords are completely unaware of. So you will be required to give your tenants an official Renters' Rights Act information sheet.
This house is one that I rented to someone who brought 2 dogs uninvited along to stay with them, and by living in the property daily.
But many of my property investments they're on interest-only mortgages, which means, yes, they cash flow, but the capital still needs paying back eventually.
When your tenant's not paying rent, releasing bed bugs into the house, right? They will take a bed bug infested mattress or a bed bug infested couch or this or that. They will wait till the tenant leaves. They will open the home and they will throw the mattress or the couch, which is infested with bed bugs, into the tenant's home.
And if you're anything like me, you don't want to be forced to sell your properties in retirement or just so that you can clear the debt.
So this is what happens when you try and help out a friend. Come to me, said their son needed somewhere to live. Happy to help because we have a house. We repainted, we recarpeted.
My first time doing this, my first tenants I had to evict. I have 9 properties over the last 2 years I've been buying. So this came as a shock to me that.
So I started thinking, instead of selling my Nottingham portfolio later, why don't I build an investment fund now that grows quietly in the background?
It's even more struggle for you because obviously, you know, with the over leveraging, you are already on a high monthly payment, and then coming now for remortgage, even going higher.
The private rental sector exists to transfer wealth from the working classes to landlords. And the abolition of private landlordism is the only way to solve the housing crisis.
And then it can be used for paying off the interest-only mortgages at the end of the term, to support me in early retirement at 55, and to provide passive income outside property and reduce risk from the property market changes.
Are you a landlord?
I am a landlord. I'm also an auctioneer and I deal with lots of landlords.
How long have you been a landlord for?
Me and my business partner, we've had a property company for about 15 years.
How have you found it?
Deals in London is tough at the moment, and having tenants who don't pay is also a big problem.
Have you dealt with letting agencies in the past?
Of course, yeah. The ones we've always used have been great.
And there's some big goals, but hopefully they're goals that I made.
We are seeing more landlords move out of the market, so they're selling properties. We're seeing less new landlords come into the market. And I think, unfortunately, with the introduction of the Renters' Rights Bill in spring 2025.
So this is one of the great joys of being a landlord. This is a property that I own. We came down and found it in this state.
And that's where my stocks and shares ISA and SIPP pension plan come in.
They've been called by the tenants.
And what's going on inside at the moment? Are they getting this?
We've given them an hour to get their personal belongings together, which is our standard procedure, and then they can make an arrangement with the landlord to come back and get the rest of their stuff out.
Okay, no worries.
I want them out on the street.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
In perfect world, they'll be out on the street.
So, what are stocks and shares? Stocks and shares ISAs will allow you to invest in index funds, ETFs, dividend stocks, and global equity markets.
Half the time they're not paying, half the time they're friggin' treating your property like crap. Always friggin' get a lawyer. That couple of grand that you spend is gonna actually help you out. So,
if the landlord had tackled the leak 2 months earlier, this would have been a small repair bill. Yes. Now she's faced with paying thousands to put this right.
And the key benefit is you don't pay tax on the growth. No capital gains tax, no dividend tax.
Because the human consequences of that are the people I've spoken to. Single mums choosing between buying their baby's nappy rash cream or paying the rent.
But isn't it the case that actually interest rates have risen as well, that some landlords actually are in significant financial trouble as well?
So I would have come here, seen the problem, which is the system. It costs you about £225 for the whole job. That's it.
Which means the money grows faster over time, and right now in the UK, you can invest £20,000 per year into an ISA if you're investing monthly.
At the end of the day, I told you the rent was going up. I told you I'm going to need you out if you can't afford to pay. You said nothing.
No, you didn't say that like you need me out.
Yes, I did.
You said about increasing the rent, and I said I'm not willing to pay that.
Well, then that's your fault, isn't it?
It's called a free market. What irritates me is when tenants tell me they can't pay rent because their mum just died.
And even something like, for example, £500 per month or £800 per month or even £1,000 per month.
If in fact they sell to an investor, you as the tenant have every right to stay at your current rental price if you want to.
So when they are evicting you for one of these legal reasons, then they owe you Form N12.
Right now, if you want to buy a home and you've got the money, you can do so. There is plenty of property for sale, nothing stopping you. But if you want to rent a home, and again, you've got the money, it's much more difficult. We have a problem with rental stock.
Can grow to a significant pot over 15 years. So that's just a quick recap for those of you who are unfamiliar, like I wasn't in the first place, of what these things are.
A landlord in London has been fined thousands of pounds for having 18 people living in his 3-bedroom house. Police discovered the situation after neighbours complained of the noise and the antisocial behaviour coming from the house in Fairmead Crescent in Edgware.
And if you're unfamiliar again with a SIPP, so a SIPP stands for Self-Invested Personal Pension. Now, here's where this gets...
To call the guards.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, stay back.
Go on.
Just stay back, Thomas.
Sorry?
Just stay back.
No, this is my plan.
No.
Because for every £100 that you invest, at the time of filming this, the government adds £25 in tax relief.
Never, ever, 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 never put a garbage disposal
in Reno.
In Reno.
Okay, and you told me.
¿Por qué?
Porque it's more problems, more maintenance.
You work on a lot of rental properties. How many garbage disposals you change?
Thousands.
Thousands.
So if you invest £800, the HMRC will add £200.
New laws giving tenants more rights start in England on Friday, May the 1st. Here are 8 things you need to know about the Renters' Rights Act. Number 1, landlords are no longer allowed to evict tenants without giving a reason.
And that's a £1,000 investment instantly, which, if you think about it, it's incredibly powerful if your goal is, like mine, to retire early, pay off your mortgages and build a long-term investment pot.
Today's job, tenant leaves the property in this condition and we're going to clear it out and get it ready for decoration.
So your landlord's gone to your property and changed the locks without a warrant. Okay, simply can't do that. It's illegal and it would be unlawful, and it would be unlawful eviction, which means it's a criminal offence. So the only person that can grant possession is either you, if you choose to leave, or a court. Now, if it's not gone through the court process and you simply change the locks, then that's not lawful, it's illegal.
So how this links into my property portfolio, and again, there's loads of information here on YouTube that you can use, that you can familiarise yourself with.
No, your landlord cannot force you to pay for professional house cleaning at the end of your tenancy. The only way they can do this is if it was specifically stated in your tenancy agreement.
And a lot of tenants like to splash water, which causes leaks, which causes landlords thousands of pounds of money. Landlords, for £500 to £600 in a bathroom, you can get preventative maintenance and invest in something like this.
And this is something that, again, I've sort of talked about this later on in my life, and it's something that I've only come across now, and I'm really, really excited about it.
If you currently rent in England, there are new laws that come to force today that will impact you and your rights. Here's what you need to know. First up, contracts. Wave goodbye to being locked into a place for 12 months, as all private rent contracts will now be rolling month to month or week to week with no end date, rather than fixed.
So the Renters Reform Act is changing the game for landlords. Longer eviction timelines, more compliance, less control over your property.
So here's my actual strategy. Instead of relying on rental income, property appreciation and refinancing,
So those who are not aware, I just evicted 21 tenants from this HDB unit. We rented to 5 students.
To fund my retirement, which was my original plan with my property journey, I want my ISA and my SIPP investment pot to grow enough over the next 15 years.
People should buy less Costa coffees and go on less holidays and not go out for dinner so often, and then they'll be able to pay the electricity bill, which, you know, I said it tongue-in-cheek a little bit, but to be fair, that is probably partly true. I mean, the ones who are really struggling aren't doing any of those things, and I do accept that.
So that at 55, I can use part of that fund to pay off the capital balances on my interest-only mortgages.
I think some of the main struggles and the generic struggles that most people are probably going to go through with rent to rent is obviously building the trust with the landlord building our relationship.
This is peak, bro. This is nuts. Look, is that birds?
Which then leaves me with mortgage-free rental income and a higher monthly cash flow and reduced financial risk. So my property portfolio becomes a more efficient income machine.
The bedroom wall has been damaged, broken sink tap, and that's what I walked into yesterday, left behind by my previous tenant.
This house is one that I rented to someone who brought 2 dogs uninvited along to stay with them, and by living in the property daily they absolutely wrecked it. The property looks like it wasn't even cleaned from the moment that they got the keys until the moment that they were removed.
Filthy walls, blue tack marks, destroyed paint.
A couple who rented out their 2-bedroom flat encountered severe damage and a shocking mess left by what they describe as a tenant from hell.
And not a liability in retirement. So I'm not just relying on those 3 things that I mentioned before, the rental income, the property appreciation or refinancing, which is more debt for my retirement. So this means that I'm going to be aggressively investing into the ISAs and the SIPP now that I've researched it and I know more about it.
So everyone's talking about how tough 2026 is for landlords. Rising costs, tighter walls, more stress than ever before.
From 1st of May, landlords in the UK could face fine up to £7,000 if they get this wrong. Here's what's changing. No more Section 21 evictions.
Being a landlord in the UK right now, it is not an easy thing, okay? Now, firstly, of course, because of the rising interest rate and your mortgage payment, and also because you'll be taxed on the rental income instead of the actual profit.
Rules don't fit me, I bend every limit, I walk through the line like the line's not in it.
So today we got a day in court for the tenant that done this damage. She left the property without paying rent and she damaged the room, left it unclean and caused a load of mess. Had to repaint the room, change the mattress, change the carpet. It was our worst move out to date.
Simple example. So let's say you've invested £800 per month in a stocks and shares ISA and £400 into a SIPP. So that's £1,200 per month overall in total. And over the next 15 years with compound interest of approximately, and again, don't quote me on this guys, this is just an example figure, approximately around 5 to 7% annually, you could potentially build a 300 to 450k pot.
In 2026, the average landlord is going to be absolutely obliterated. They are going to be chewed up by this government and Keir Starmer and spat out into the abyss of bankruptcy.
What's the longest a tenant's gone without paying you?
4 months.
4 months?
Yeah, I didn't want to be that guy, you know. I gave them a nudge and then I sort of left it. But before you know it, it's been 4 months and you're chasing your own money.
Can't be doing with that. That's why I use August. Rent's late sends them a reminder every single day.
So let me give you an update on this Airbnb damage that happened to one of my properties where the tenant is refusing to pay out. So the property is all fine. Obviously, it's just normal standard cleaning that was needed. But this mark does not want to come off. I've tried it. It's a whole paint job. And then I've noticed this as well down here.
Landlords, from the 1st of May, the Renters' Rights Bill comes into force. This means from the 1st of May, any possession application made to court will have to be on the basis of a fault by the tenant.
So there are 5 tenants living under one roof, no HMO license, and 2 tenants had stopped paying altogether,
which could pay off one or two or even three of the interest-only mortgages that you may have or that I have. So mortgage payoff using an ISA growth example. So let's make this really practical, because this is the part that completely changed how I think about retirement planning as a property investor.
The information will include key details about the tenancy, such as the rent amount, the rent increase rules, repair responsibilities, and the tenant's rights. The goal of this is to make renting more transparent.
If someone doesn't pay rent, the council actually advises the tenants to stay there without paying rent. What kind of law is this?
You can be fined £7,000 if you don't comply by the 31st of May 2026. This is because the Renters' Rights Act comes into play. If you're a landlord, there is a Renters' Right information sheet that needs to be served on every tenant by the state. If you have a joint tenancy or a multiple tenancy, such as a HMO for example, then this information sheet needs to be served on every individual tenant. As a landlord, make sure this is done.
So let's say you've got a typical buy-to-let property here in Nottingham and you've purchased it for, let's say, £160,000, and for example a mortgage on it of £120,000 that's interest only. So every single month you are paying the interest, but the £120,000 capital balance still needs paying back in the future. And we all know this as property investors that have signed up to an interest only mortgage, and we hopefully have got a plan in place to exit that mortgage at the end of the term. Most of us are probably thinking maybe to sell it.
How do you find being a landlord? Stressful, but pays off. What do you think of the Renters' Rights Act? I think we're all screwed. I think the market's going to crash. If someone doesn't pay rent, the council actually advises the tenants to stay there without paying rent.
So this is Clyde Road in Radcliffe, and this is why landlords like me are selling up. Wow, I've got pictures how it was given to them, and this is what they've left. This is what they've left.
Are you worried about the Renters' Rights Act?
Yeah, of course, like everybody. My main worry is how long it's going to take to get bad tenants out.
But now imagine, instead of relying on selling that property later, you repay the mortgage. You invest in stocks, shares and ISA instead, and let's say you invest £800 per month in a global index fund over the next 15 years with the average growth rate of around, again, for example, 6% per year. That could grow approximately to £230,000 to £260,000.
The British government has announced a significant reduction in house rents. The British government says that the British government has taken a major step against the arbitrariness of landlords regarding rent.
If a tenant offers to pay more up front, you can't accept it, and you certainly can't ask for it. Bidding wars are also banned.
And everybody's asking, what is now going to happen to landlords? With all of these new laws that are being passed by the government whilst Labour are in power, where does that leave property investors?
It's the most damning report I've seen into a housing association. L&Q are a big player in this, second biggest in the country. This report says that they were unduly heavy-handed in complaints, that they caused prolonged distress and confusion to its tenants. In one case, as you mentioned, they withheld compensation to a tenant unless they signed a confidentiality clause in their tenancy agreement, which was heavily criticised by the Housing Ombudsman.
Now imagine that ISA fund at age 55. Now imagine paying off the £120,000 mortgage. You can still keep the property and still have money left over, which means your rental income now becomes your mortgage free, your cash flow increases significantly, and you haven't had to sell the asset. You just used your ISA growth to clear the debt, in theory. And let's look at the SIPP versus buy to let retirement income comparison. Now let's compare this to relying on property alone. Let's just say if you've got 3 buy-to-let properties, each generating £300 per month after costs, that's £900 per month in rental income. Sounds good, right? But they still are mortgaged. Now imagine instead you also had a SIPP investment pot and that you've been contributing, for example, £400 per month into that with tax relief added. So over the next 15 years, it could potentially grow to £150,000 to £200,000, which could provide a pension income, a lump sum, or can be used strategically to reduce the mortgage debt.
As you can see, there's a letter on the background. This letter was sent to a landlady who was renting her property out for last 10 years. She received this letter which informs her that they want her to come clean and tell them how many properties she has and the income and expenses she incurred while renting those properties.
The housing situation in the UK is getting out of hand. Rising prices, limited options, it's getting ridiculous.
Your landlord could face a £7,000 fine if they don't give you this one document by the end of May. It's called the Renters' Rights Act Information Sheet, and it's a 4-page government document. Every landlord with a written tenancy agreement must give it to their tenants by 31st of May. If they don't, they could face a £7,000 fine.
Seriously, tenants, you like to waste people's time because you have no concept of other people's time. People take time out of their day to organise viewings, to make their way to a property at the weekend to do the viewing, and you don't even disclose that you have a 6-month-old baby. Seriously, I vetted the tenant. Salary was good. She was a professional in the medical field. She worked at the local hospital. Ticked all the boxes. Never once did she mention she had a child. And had she had mentioned that, I would have not proceeded to get the landlord to do the viewing. Ultimately, it transpires that when she did come to the viewing, she pulled up with a 6-month-old baby in her arms.
So instead of you relying on purely the rental income or capital appreciation of the property, you also have the property income, the pension income, the ISA investment, and it's a mortgage-free asset, which gives you the flexibility in retirement rather than being forced to sell the property or refinance at whatever the interest rates are at the time.
A landlord who refused to deal with complaints from tenants has had their property seized by a local council.
Landlords, there's only 2 days left for the new renters' rights to come into place. That means you can't evict a tenant without a valid reason. Rent increases are becoming more regulated and tenant rights are stronger now than ever before, and that's just to name a few.
So a couple of weeks ago, our landlord told us that he wants to increase the rent by £200 for the entire property. Our tenancy is coming up for renewal, which is why this has been brought up now, and many people are facing a similar situation with a hike in rent increase because of all the stuff that's going on with inflation and the property market at the moment. However, this has particularly infuriated me and my flatmates because our landlord is nothing short of a grade A CUNT.
Hey Katie, how are you?
I'm obviously not good. You've increased my rent by £50.
That's correct. We spoke about this. We said we were going to do a rent increase at the end of the second year.
Nah, you're just taking the piss.
So for me, it isn't about choosing between property or stocks. It's about the ISAs, the SIPP and the property together and working out a plan how that each of those can complement each other. And I'm not just relying on one or the other when it comes to retirement. So because guys, let's face it, with this economy and where it's going.
If you're running your rental on an understanding or an informal agreement, it can go wrong very quickly. And we've just had a case to actually prove exactly how badly things can go wrong.
Hey guys, so we had a tenant whose contract is up for renewal and he sent us a message to say, I really want to stay, but I'd like to request a rent reduction of £100, please.
From May 2026, 3 things that were legal in London renting become illegal. Number 1, kicking you out for no reason. It was called Section 21. Your landlord could hand you a letter and you had 2 months to leave. No reason needed. Done. From May, dead. They need a proper legal reason now, and you can challenge it.
How can she afford this and not pay any rent? How can she afford that? Look at the boxes, look. What have you done about settling the £11,000 rent you owe me? It's not the way to behave, is it? Remorse on her face. You put the window up, as if to say 2 fingers to you, I don't care. I've got my lovely house back. I think today I've had a result.
We can't just do that alone. So to create a retirement plan that pays off interest-only mortgages, builds passive income and supports early retirement at the goal age of 55, which is my goal, and protect against future market changes, because I don't just want assets, I want mortgage-free options. So guys, what do you think to this? Have you looked at your retirement? Have you got a plan in place yourself? What is your plan? Are you hoping, what do you think of using this to build up a pot so that you can pay off the mortgage, the interest only mortgage at the end of the term? Or do you think it's all risky, it's all a house of cards and it's all going to implode on each other? Whatever your thoughts are, let's pop those in the comments below and let's start that discussion. And if you want to see practically how I went through the whole bridging process, then watch this video next where I do just that. Thanks guys, bye.